The new era for energy of which we speak refers to the transition that must take place in how we generate power for Wright-Hennepin's members in the future. It shouldn't be a surprise, I don't think, that we would think of powering the 21st century differently than we did the 20th century. After all, there are tremendous new technologies. There are new or improved fuel sources. Certainly, there are many new regulations and government mandates that we must comply with. But most important, there are changing expectations among electric consumers. And so the stakes are high because it can be one of the most pricey and risky decisions we make if we don't go about it with just the right timing and certainly with mature, critical judgment. As these decisions get closer, we have sought your insights to help set a foundation for boardroom discussion. I'd like to wrap up our annual meeting conversation tonight by sharing two of the more salient findings from a brand new survey of Wright-Hennepin members that will help influence decisions we need to begin making this year. The first finding of note in this new survey came from the answer to the question, how should Wright-Hennepin power your homes and businesses for the future? The survey offered 6 energy sources that you see listed on the bottom of this graph, and Wright-Hennepin's members were asked to rank the importance of each of these sources on a scale of 1 to 10, with 1 being not very important at all and 10 being very important. Now, to simplify the graphical presentation, I'm going to focus just on the 9s and 10s, the very important responses scored by Wright-Hennepin's members. And here's how you ranked these energy sources by preference for Wright-Hennepin's future. Solar came in first, with 63% of responding members saying this was a very important source of power. 54% said wind energy was very important. Third was hydropower, with 46% of responding members saying this was very important. Fourth was natural gas at 41%. Fifth was nuclear power at 33%. And sixth was coal, with 22% of responding members giving this a high level of importance for any new resource plans for the future. These survey results are important and timely for your board because I am asking them for a decision that has to be made by June that would enable Wright-Hennepin to replace about 6 megawatts of our presently contracted coal generation with solar power. To give you an idea of the scale of this, 6 megawatts of solar panels would cover 30 acres, which we would intend to build on non-tillable or otherwise not productive land. If negotiations continue favorably, as they have so far, a locally built utility-scale solar plant will be producing power 1 year from tonight and would be exclusively available for Wright-Hennepin's membership for 20 years. That's an easy, low-risk way to begin meeting your preferences in this new era for energy. A more difficult question is the role going forward of our existing fleet of fossil fuel power plants. This is a trickier calculation because they all have useful life left. You have long-term financial commitments on these plants. They operate very efficiently, helping to keep our costs low. In fact, they are one of the prime reasons Chair Lanto was able to report tonight about Wright-Hennepin's favorable competitive position. We've been socially responsible by making hundreds of millions of dollars in environmental upgrades over the years with results. But there is a debate occurring right now in Washington and across the land that would add significant new regulatory cost on carbon dioxide emissions from the nation's fossil fuel power plants. The risk with this aggressive new regulatory proposal is that they could make fossil fuel power plants immediately too expensive to operate, forcing premature closure and a loss of your investment. Plus, it would require significant duplicate investment to build new resources to cover the loss of the fossil fuel resources. The final decision on those new regulations is currently scheduled to be made later this year. So in our survey, it was important for us to know where you stood on this issue. We asked, how strongly do you support new regulation that limits carbon dioxide emissions? And using the same scale noted earlier, 31% of you, almost a third of Wright-Hennepin's members, provided a 9 or 10 response. In other words, you strongly support these regulations. That's very important for us to know. We then tested your support when we added how it might affect your electric bills. If these new regulations added just $10 a month to Wright-Hennepin's electric bill, strong support dropped by more than half to 15%. As you can see, support quickly fades as there is direct impact on electricity prices. So the findings from the two survey questions I've focused on for this presentation will help give your board of directors the membership perspective on these important decisions. There are obviously other considerations besides survey findings that go into such weighty decisions like future power supply, but what emerges by starting with your input is the seed of a plan that might go something like this. First, that your cooperative resolves, where feasible, to do its very best to bring renewable energy into the mainstream when new resource or contract choices are available, and that we will do this quicker and more enthusiastically than most utilities. Second is that your cooperative will resolve, where feasible, to do our level best to support and protect the existing investments you've made in generating resources until their useful life has been reached. By approaching the next era for energy this way, we immediately begin achieving your preference shown on this slide without high risk and with a reasonable expectation that your electricity from Wright-Hennepin will remain affordable and reliable into the future. I can tell you that Wright-Hennepin looks forward to the next era for energy. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.